Hello there and good morning, everyone. Good to see you. Good afternoon. Good evening to everybody around the world. Yes, just making sure everything is doing great. Okay, fantastic. We are live, folks. Good to see you here. Paul Traney going to dive into Daily Creative Challenge. It is our last one, so yeah, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be epic. So thank you. I always like to start out honestly with this phrase that we have, of course. I'm just thankful that everybody is here and we just have basically a safe space, right, where all are accepted. So I'm glad you are here. Everybody's accepted. The only thing is, in chat, maybe type in English, because that's the only language I know aside from some really horrible Spanish. So I'm glad you are here. Sean, I miss you. Sean, I miss you as well, because we've taken this whole journey through Photoshop together, and this is our last day. By the way, this map I'm going to be giving to you in Discord, so I'll go ahead and pass that out. Maybe I'll paste it in chat, but I had people ask about the map, so I'm like, yeah, I'll go ahead and distribute it. So hopefully you appreciate that. By the way, when I say Discord, I'll jump over. We have right in here, of course, Discord. And this is where I'll probably post it, you know. The map, right? I'll drop it right in here, okay? But here it is as well, map. There you go, that should work. All right, everyone, thanks so much for hanging out with me. It is all about animated dreamscapes today, or like fantasy lands, things like that. So that's what we're going to be dealing with. But it's going to be a lot of just kind of driving home the fundamentals of Photoshop and getting good at selections, knowing when to use what tool, and then being smart about like what your next steps are. So a lot of times it's a lot of selecting, it's a lot of masking, and then some animating. So it'll be fun. So download the file here. The Getting Started file will give you this lovely, wait for it, and it's actually in here as well. Creative Challenge. Download this one right there. You'll see it come up. I already have it open in Photoshop. Here we are. Let's begin. Again, I appreciate you, Ashy. Good to have you here. Michelle, what's up? All right, so this whale, for instance, there's a number of things we can do. And let's just kind of explore the file first off. And in fact, I apologize. I sometimes make this panel a little too small, and I do apologize for that. But right over here, we have a number of layers. So we have this place in China, right? I can't say that really, because I can't pronounce it. So I won't butcher it, but we also have that layer. That's our background layer. And then we have our whale. And then we have a bunch of fun buildings in here as well. So let's twirl that down. You know, we're going to make some fantasy land. It might include these buildings, right? To move things around, hold down the Command key or Control key if you're on a PC, and then click on the item that you want to move. So just jump over there, move it, just getting a lay of the land of everything that's in here, okay? We also have in this folder, we have just like a bunch of fish and things. There's a number of things we can animate as well. I did the work of just cutting these out for you in advance, but really it's gonna be these assets that we're gonna deal with the most, okay? All right, so let's dive into it, shall we? Kind of dive into it. It's not really underwater, but let's go ahead and take this whale. We'll go to the Properties panel, kind of right over here with the whale layer selected. You know what we're going to do. We're going to magically just remove the background. Thank you very much. All right. Awesome. Easy to do, and that looks good, right? Oftentimes, I will convert something to a smart object because I'm going to be resizing it and moving it around a lot. So I'll just convert that to a smart object. Notice how the layer mask went away. Well, it's actually tucked into that file now. All right. Buildings, let's do it. By the way, you want to see what we're actually going to make? You ready? Boom, there it is. This is what we're going for, something like this. Wait, have I been not sharing my screen this whole time? Ah, how embarrassing. I don't think I was sharing my screen. Did I somehow... Anyways, you see it now. I don't know why I was in the center there for a little bit. That was weird. All right, so anyways, here we are. We could see the final, right? So this is the one we're working on. We're going to work with all of these buildings, okay? It's going to get kind of complex here. You know what? Some of these are already cut out. Again, I did the work for you, but I actually left the hardest one for you to do, which is going to be, you know, cutting out this water tower, right? Because we're going to be... okay. Okay, good. So I would do the same process. This remove background typically gets me like 80% there, between anywhere from 70 to 90, maybe 100%. The whale, it got us 100% there. For this water tower, it's a great place to start. Let's click remove background. Again, it's right over here. Remove background. Bam. Take a drink of my coffee. Afroja, good to see you. Hello. Hello, everyone. I see you over there. Hello. All right. So that gets us most of the way there. The rest gets a little tricky. I know how small everything needs to be, and it's all about sort of like time versus sort of your ROI with your time. What's your return on investment for cutting this out? This is going to be so small. It's already going to have a complex background. It might even be covered up. I'm not going to worry too much about this, but what I'm going to use is just my lasso tool, right? So just selecting that area, making sure I'm on this mask layer, and then I'm going to fill it with, of course, black, because that's my color right there. Foreground color, boom. That's all I do. I'll start outlining. I'll hold down the Option key or Alt key. I think it is on a PC. And that will give me the straight line to zip on up there and just go ahead and fill it with black. By this time, it is day 9. Hopefully you have some shortcuts. Notice how I have this fill pop up every single time? Well, all that is that's the shortcut for fill. Looks like it's, you know, that's actually the shortcut key, but oftentimes I'll just do Shift Delete. That brings it up. All right, so let's just get into this. We could also use a brush. I could hit B for brush, right? And we can paint right in here and remove that like so, right? That's pretty easy. Again, whichever you want to do, whatever's easiest for you, however steady your hand is. I like the hard edges that I get when it comes to the lasso tool, right? Because that's all I want to do here. So I'll just take 2 seconds to do this because I want to move on in a second and I want to just go as fast as possible. And let me know how you guys are doing. I always love seeing names here that, and just people that I know. Makes me feel good. Like I've said before, you guys are like my coworkers. So I just appreciate hanging out with you. It's like I got friends on the internet. Is that okay? Is that okay if we're friends? I'm calling us friends, whether you like it or not. Some of you might be like, we're just here to learn, Paul. Well, you know what? You're my friend. We're still gonna hang out. I'll happily give you. We'll keep touch on social media. By the way, a quick commercial, if I dare. Monday morning, I'm gonna be doing a live stream on creating like face masks. So we're gonna be making all these. I just got all these today. There's so many of them, and I'm gonna be giving some away as well. So again, hot off the press, like brand new. I'm sorry I did touch them with my hands just now. Yeah. So you're immediately going to have to burn it as soon as you get it because it's contaminated now. Kidding. Okay, right click. Anything we create, since we know we're going to want to size these up and down, I will go through and I will convert these to smart objects right here. Again, this is day 9. If you notice you're doing things multiple times, the same thing multiple times, turn that into a shortcut, right? So that's what I have going on, convert to smart object. I actually went over to under edit down here. There's keyboard shortcuts behind my head, but that's what I'll usually do. Select this, S, shortcut, awesome, done. Whale, let's get the whale in the mix. And now we can start to play with this, okay? Yeah, I made some awesome masks. I'm going to show you how to make them on Monday morning. It's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm going to give them away, so it's going to be really fun. All right, so we have everything right in here. I'm actually going to rename this folder and I'll just call it whale because that's what it really is now. I have all these assets right here, all the buildings. Let's just shrink those down. Command T, shrink it down. Let's put it on the back of this whale like so, kind of like that. Right, it's up to your choosing on how you want to position these around, of course, right? Command T, shrink it down. Maybe this will be over here. And we have this like trading post, right, that we can go ahead and angle. Command T, rotate, shrink it, right, like that. We have this fun building as well. I will say, as you shrink these, you got to keep in mind like the relation every one thing is to another. So like just keep in mind like the door size. Don't make one big enough for a human and another one like big enough for only a mouse, right? Drop that one back here. In fact, for this one, we'll put in front of the water tower like that, okay? Again, we're just making a fun, like, fantasy landscape, kind of, right? Right on. I didn't sew them, Carol, just so you know, I just did the design. I made the design in Illustrator and Photoshop, and then I had another company print them up. But I think it's a pretty good deal. You actually get 4 for 25 bucks, 25 US dollars. So I think it's pretty good. All right, so here we are. Everything's in this folder. We have our whale, right, that we can go ahead and animate. Yeah, we'll animate it here in a little bit, right? Everything, we're not quite selling it yet. Geez, what is my problem? Right, because it's not that realistic, right? Because what's the problem here, right? This is too blue. These are too brown, right? So we would not want to do some color adjustments. So yeah, Afroja, hopefully you appreciate that. Devella as well. Break the whale's back, why don't you? The whale wanted to take these people away from the horrible place they were into a better world where everybody's created equal and treated equal. So that's what's happening here. Okay, so I can continue to add to this, by the way. I know in the description talks about brushes as well, so we can go to a brush. We can pick a hard, round brush. We can come down here, and we can... This is something I never do. I've been working in Photoshop since forever. It's embarrassing how long, right? But check this out. I just kind of learned this, to be honest with you. If you click once, and then... Yeah, there you go. So this is, I want a straight line. So basically we need to kind of hold these buildings in place with these like lines, right? So here's my brush, right? It is pure black. Maybe I'll actually sample this brown from this building. And what you do is you actually click once and then go down to the fin and then shift click and it draws that straight line. So that's what I want. Click once, shift click. Click once, shift click, like that. Don't worry, we're gonna bend these in a second, by the way. I don't know, I'm unsure how I'm gonna bend them, to be honest with you. I'm like, well, how should I do that? There we go. So we have our fun straps. Those actually aren't bad, right? We can add some more. I would probably jump in and use something like Liquify. So I'd convert these ropes to a smart object. I'd go into Liquify because you guys know I like Liquify. And by the way, this is an interesting thing. I'm so glad you guys are here. There's like tips galore in here, right? Like right down here, I'm just like, where did my whale go? I'm in Liquify. Where the heck's my whale? It was huge. It was flying through the sky, like, and it was magical and wild. Right down here, we want to show backdrop. Turn that on. And now we can see it and we can control the opacity, right? So now we can see what we're manipulating and we can go right up here. This is sort of like a forward warp tool. It just means you're gonna be pushing things around, but we might just, oh, okay. So this is, I'm glad this came up too. The backdrop settings are preventing the preview from showing the image changes. And you can actually adjust those, but at least that gives me an idea and I can kind of bend them just like that. Again, I'm just doing a quick bend just because I don't want these lines to be straight. Okay, that's all I'm doing, done. You get the idea, let's move on. So many tips. Yes, you can do that with straight lines, Mia. I absolutely love that, right? If you're trying to really sell this, well, geez, this curve, this is not gonna be the same color, these ropes. So what do you do to paint on those ropes. First off, you already made them a smart object, Paul, right? You can jump in. You can do this a number of ways, right? Well, this is what I want to show you, is I want to show you in here, I want to show you this. If I want to create a highlight on this rope, I would create a new layer. Maybe I'll just switch this to white, and I'll just switch out my brush with a low flow, right? Make it a little bit larger. And typically when you paint, it's going to paint over all the pixels. So you can do this a couple of ways. You can have this new layer that is a clipping mask, right? Clipping mask, boom. And that means it will only paint on the pixels that it sees. Another way you can do it is you can actually select this layer and you can lock the transparency right up here. Locking that transparency, let's see if we can get rid of that other layer. And now I can kind of paint on top and, get as detailed as I want. If I want to kind of go in and do that, I can. But you get the idea. So just kind of allowing you to preserve the transparency of those pixels, get the highlights where you want them, and all that good stuff. That's all we'll do right there. Cool. All right, I got 10 minutes. Oh, Mia, you're so sweet. Thank you for hanging out with me this beautiful day, guys. Not to bring up a subject, but people are going through a lot right now, and you know what? We can just have to support all of our brothers and sisters any way you can. So again, this is a new community of people from all walks of life, right? Another thing I can do with this, if I really want to bend this or make it look like it's like a rope, like it has some depth, it might be a little too much, but you could double click on it and you can go in and give it a bevel, right? We can give it a bevel and emboss. We can add some texture to it as well, grabbing a texture right in here, right? And give it just like a little bit more depth if I want to. Okay, that's done. We're getting too much into the weeds, and for some of this, that's okay. Right in here, this is also what I would do. I would start painting on some shadows and some highlights. I said I need to shift the color of the whale because it's too blue, right? Well, let's go ahead and do that. How are we going to do that? Well, right over here, I would go down to my adjustment layers right in here. I could do a number of things. I can actually go into color balance, right? Color balance will give me all those cyans and the blues, and I can shift them the other direction right up here, like my little new zoom tool. But right in here, I can change that to just the cyans to more red and these blues to a little bit more yellow. See how that just makes it tie in better with the scene, right? So again, before, after, we're just creating a little bit of a tweak. So, oh, good. So glad you are enjoying this. I like to work on real world projects. Like I was making this, not thinking I would teach it or anything like that, but I'm like, this is actually stuff that I did for that piece. Same thing here. Like I said, we want to have some shadows maybe on these buildings. I'd add a new layer. I hit B for brush. I'd make sure, again, the flow is pretty low. I would typically try to sample a dark color, and I try to stay away from black, but just go with a darker color. And I can paint right here, right, on those. That actually kind of does make it look a little bit better because it pushes it back, okay? But in some cases, I think this is looking pretty good. I'm not even going to sweat it right now. Look at this. We'll just kind of slowly, just kind of nice, paint a nice little bit of depth right in there. Right, like that. Okay, so since I'm doing that, I'm getting some, let's just call it spillage. We're getting some spillage onto the background. That's not going to fly, right? How can we just keep it on the whale and the buildings? Well, whale, let me show you. We'll just call this shad. And this shad I want to put on top of this whale folder. This has all the good stuff, right? And what do? Just like we made a clipping mask earlier, we want to make a clipping mask now as well. Create clipping mask. Boop. There it is. Now it stays on those elements. And I can move that old house down a little bit. All right, so that looks pretty good. I can play with this some more. Wow, Damien, you went all caps with your username. Man, you just leaned on that keyboard. All caps. We hear ya. That's like the equivalent of you walking into a room with like a really loud shirt or something like. All right, welcome from Ghana. Good to have you here. Sweet. Okay, so let's do some more things because we want to sell this depth since we are creating this fantasy land. We actually want to put this whale behind this land right here, right? Oh, how are we gonna do this? This is gonna be so difficult. Guess what? You're right. But that's gonna make that's gonna make this good. So I'm gonna do a Command J. We'll jump that layer. And now we're gonna have our foreground like that. We're gonna have the foreground on top of everything else, right? Obviously it's covering everything else until we start to paint, right? And again, this is not going to be easy. It's going to take time, but this is actually what I would do. I would go into our brand new object selection tool. Selecting it. Dragging around this landmass. No hands mode. It's thinking. It's like, whoa, there's all this stuff here. There's all this stuff here. Boom. It actually selected this land. The key thing is I only need this top part. I'm not worried about the bottom too much. From there, we'll go ahead and create that mask. And now we have our whale like so. All right, so you ready for this? We have all this craziness in here that we need to get rid of. We'll go to this layer mask. We'll go to the properties. We will hit select and mask. Master mask timing. Bam, there we are. We're in it. In it to win it. Now let's take a look. Right up here. My favorite tool in here and the one everybody uses is this. Just call it the hairbrush, but it's a refine edge brush tool because we're going to use it on trees. So right over here, we're just going to click and get in between all of those different little branches and everything like that. Okay, so that's all we're doing. What you can also do is you can paint with the brush tool as well. If we want to kind of bring and have some of this haziness down there, I can paint in a little bit more down here. So I'm just kind of making this like a little bit more hazy because it's just going to look cooler that way. Okay. With that done, by the way, yours might not look like mine. It's because I have the overlay set to red, but that's it. How many cups of coffee? I've been up since 5 a.m. But this is only my second. It's large, but yeah. All right, there we have it. Yeah, some days, man, some days. Why? What's up with that? What's up with that? What's up with that? Alrighty. Darius, honestly, if I had to run an errand, so I only got to grab 1 cup, so this is my second cup, I would probably be into 4 pods of coffee, if you will. 4 of those little coffee pods. I get the disposable, like the low impact environment ones, and I need to do better about that as well. Okay, so this is another key thing. Now that I only have a couple minutes, geez, I got to get into this really fast. I'm just going to jump into this. I'm going to just go into color lookup. I feel so bad. Time's getting away from me. I can do a candlelight cube to change the look of it. I could do just a crisp warm, and that ties all of this together, right? So notice how it kind of ties it together when I do a lookup table. Edgy amber is going to get a little intense, but I could start playing with these cool different looks. Let's just go with this Fuji one right here so everybody can see it, bright and bold. I'm going to take these objects right over here, and guess what? We're going to convert this to a smart object, right? And now this is just going to be called whale, right? We're going to have whale, and we're going to have foreground. I'm even going to apply that layer mask. Why not? And background. There we are. Let's open up our window. Timeline, right? We have our timeline where we're going to create a video timeline. Bam, there it is. Creates this video timeline. This is why I condensed everything down. So we have kind of less happening in here. I want to move this whale. I'll twirl this down. I'll click transform. You see that? I'm going to click transform. Boom, it adds this icon, this keyframe right here, okay? So at this point in time, at the beginning, I could have this whale over here, right? And then at the end, as I scrub down, say 5 seconds in, we will add another keyframe by clicking right there. Boom, add another keyframe, or just move it. And then we'll just slide him over like that. Maybe he's moving kind of fast. Right now, let's go ahead and watch it. We just added one keyframe. This is all about bringing your art to life, right? We can see this whale kind of move across the screen, right? Cool. All right. Next thing you're going to say is like, oh, you know what? You could do puppet warp. How do you have him move his tail, right? That's something that's going to require After Effects, because even though there's the puppet warp tool, where this puppet warp tool came from was After Effects. This is your this whole video is your gateway drug to After Effects. But check this out right in here, and actually I'm going to delete a lot of this. Let me show you this, folks. Now, let's compare these two timelines. Sorry, I'm running out of time. Here's my whale sliding across the screen. Guess what? I can actually... there we go. I can actually add those same pins just like I can in Photoshop, and we can add a pin here, and add a pin here, and add a pin here. I'd probably put one up here too. Right, so that gives me all of these pins right in here that we can deform. Sorry, it's behind my head. Sorry, I'm running out of time. You think I would learn after a while, but this is where, just like in Photoshop, we would add our keyframes right in here. So that's what you would do. You would see that animation, click right there. Hold on, position is actually already added, but I can scrub back and then move the pins. So that's what I do in this case. All right, I ran out of time, guys. I'm sorry. Feel free to hit me up online. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful experience hosting these DCCs with you. Look for my stuff online for the final as I render it out. Thanks so much, everybody. Sorry for the rush. Appreciate you.